I'm live. It's a bit later than I thought, but I was going to finish this chapter today. It is out of Eyes of Horus, and it is, I'm in part 5 of this book. It is a life of Joan Marshall Grant. She was a seer, and she was also a writer of her own far memories. I am now in part 5 of this book, in chapter 9, Royal Envoy, and I had to stop again because of my battery, which sometimes seems to just drain. Anyway, this, as I said, it's the third part of this chapter entitled Royal Envoy, and it describes a royal envoy. If I'm in the royal city when the 42 assessors indicate, by summoning Pharaoh before them, that the time has come for the watchers to act, I may be able to declare myself Pharaoh without opposition, aided by those courtiers and officials and certain of the bodyguards who have already given me the oath of allegiance. As fast as the news can travel, my name as Pharaoh shall be declared in every known. It is to be hoped that Menhat can be persuaded that it would be useless to attempt action against me, even though it may mean his having to suffer imprisonment until he has agreed to uphold the watchers. Thereafter he shall be restored to his rank of captain of Egypt and enjoy even greater privileges than he did under the rule of his father. But what if you cannot take him? Then he and those who follow him will have to be overcome by force of arms. What if Pharaoh dies while you are here, or acting as the royal envoy on some other journey? It is to be hoped that will not happen. If it does, I think it probable that Menhat will pass judgment on the royal heir and then declare himself Pharaoh. The South will still proclaim that I am the rightful wearer of the white crown. I hope the North will follow the South rather than join with the royal gnomes. If they go against us, then for a time the two lands will be divided against each other, and the sign of the watchers be painted in blood. Then he addressed us all. Some of you have waited for the dawn nearly 20 years. The watchers were born of Roydon, who saw that the wise laws decreed by the grandfather of Ra-Ab-Hotep could bring peace not only to the Oryx, but to all Egypt. Yet Roydon saw that we needed a new authority, for the laws in themselves are not enough until men have been taught how to administer them wisely. He has named his estate in truth Hotep Ra, the place where men learn the peace of Ra. Roydon saw that Egypt suffers from a pestilence born of famine. This pestilence flourished as well in fat years as in lean, for it was not food for their bellies that men lacked, though there were many who starved in the flesh also. It was truth for their spirit, for which they hungered. Like a man carrying loaves into a famine village, Roydon gave truth to all he met. He saw that those who had been starving grew strong, and in their turn took the bread of truth to others, who until that time had known no respite. Gradually, the sores on the body of Egypt began to heal. The oryx became the heart of her renewed body, and from it flowed fresh understanding, the blood of Ptah, through channels which had long been dry. Roydon is a wise physician. He knew that if a scab is pulled from a sore before the flesh beneath it is nearly healed, it will cause a fresh wound. And so he knew it took time for such a long-established pestilence to be cured. The famine victims must eat slowly if he is to become when the scabs can be shed, to show that the body of Egypt is clean. When I was 19, at the age I first met Royden, I thought Pharaoh was the cause of the pestilence. I had been brought up among old men who were blind to the sorrows of the people they ruled, and let the spiders of complacency spin shrouds which further obscured their narrow vision. If Royden had told me then that the Watchers had a plan to kill Pharaoh, I would have gladly joined them. I saw Pharaoh and his sycophants as the chain which held Egypt's prisoner, and I longed to strike them off. So I told Royden he was only an impractical idealist who, with the people he had gathered around him, pondered on abstractions, while false priests waxed powerful and corrupt officials deprived our people of their rightful heritage. Royden told me that an idea could be stronger than a mighty phalanx of bowmen, surer than 10,000 mace-bearers, swifter than javelins. We had been together on a lion hunt near the old capital. He had killed 2 lions and I a third, and afterwards he came back to my father's house to be my guest. He looked at Royden and smiled. I can see you as you were then, my most honoured friend, sitting on the steps which led down to the main courtyard. Still hear your voice saying, "You think this is only an idea. Give me 20 years, and of that short span I have already worked for 5. Tell one man the truth, and it will flow down the threads which join him to his friends of his long years, and from them it will flow through other threads, further and further. Yet however far it travels, its strength will not diminish. No matter how many drink from the jar of truth, the living water never grows less, though thousands grow strong because it has quenched their thirst." Do you remember, Royden, how you picked up a stick and drew a pattern in the dust? You drew the outline of a man, and radiating from him were lines which joined him to his friends, both past and future, and from them other lines to other men. You showed me those were the threads from which a united Egypt could be woven on the loom of peace. Then you made some dots and said they represented people who have severed the threads through which their affection should flow. You told me they were like the thorn I was taking out of my arm, dead wood which must be cut out of the body of Egypt lest it cause corruption. I asked you, how do you find your watchers? And you replied, only when love flows through a man can truth enter him. Only when he recognizes truth can he show love. When I met one in whom love is stronger than fear, I know him to be a potential watcher, ready to be trained how best to use his strength to free others from fear's dark domination. Then again, speaking to us all, Amenemhat said, that is how Royden found one of the eyes of Horus. Think of him for a moment as he was then, a young man sitting in the courtyard of the house of the old vizier, talking to a boy and drawing in the dust a pattern for Egypt, which in 15 years has spread through every known. His idea has divided the living from the dead, the clear-sighted from the blind, and many of those who were imprisoned it has set free. The stick which Royden then held has become the crook and the flail of Egypt, and had he decided to keep them in his own hands, I should have counted it a great honour if he had made me his vizier. But for reasons known to all of you, he has put those symbols of authority into my hands. May I be a channel of sufficient love to be worthy of them. Right, this is the end of the part 5 of this book. The next part is part 6, and its first chapter is entitled Torch Bearer. I'm wishing you all a very good Thursday.